Let's have a word of prayer. Lord God in heaven, precious Father, Lord, we thank you so much. We bless your holy name. Glory and honor be unto you. Lord, this morning we are before thee again. May you give us wisdom and understanding. May your spirit bind us in your love. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I'm blessed to have my family around there. My wife and my children are in Illinois. But I'm here today with my other brothers and sisters and auntie and mom. Some of you may know them. They're here with me. So I'm happy. And I'm happy because today I'm part of this family. Last time I stepped in, I was here for a minute and I was introduced here. And now I don't need to be introduced even more because I'm part of this family. I'm going to share something. My original sermon that I was going to take long on has been overtaken by events because when we came in the morning, I had to change a little and put something to it. Because I feel that the Spirit is leading me to do that. I'm going to put a little more to it so that you get it the way it is. You invited me, so be it. Because I believe you might not see me again. And this message has to go. Let me have some little introduction to this message as we listen to our own. I need this video to come up here from Elder Ted Wilson. This is an intro to medical missionary work. Seeing what we do as medical missionaries.
The medical missionary work, or comprehensive health ministry, is as the right hand and arm to the third angel's message, which must be proclaimed to a fallen world. So the gospel message is Christ, who lived a perfect life, died for us, rose, interceding for us. Wonderful salvation message, but that right arm, the right hand, is to be the assistance to help people to understand life in a beautiful, comprehensive way, including our bodies.
It's not just for medical people. It's for health professionals, it's for health people, but it's for every church member to lay hold of this wonderful work, to be a health promoter. What Ellen White called so beautifully in her time, in her language at that time, a medical missionary.
This comprehensive health ministry transcends all departments, all initiatives, because it is so much a part and parcel of who we are as people. That's why every department can be involved in this. You don't have to be a health professional to be an advocate of good health.
That's
every church member can be that.
Very much meeting people's needs where they are, and that's Christ's method, meeting them where they are.
To imagine a church that if it were closed, the community would come and knock on its door saying, please open.
That's Pastor
You're running nutrition classes
Finley.
and cooking schools that are making a difference in our community. You're running stress management programs that are making a difference in our community. You're running wellness programs that are improving the quality of life and health. You're running health expos and helping us to identify disease and prevent disease. You're running parenting programs. This church is such a valuable church in the community.
I want us to get
Please,
another one.
if you close your doors, would you?
So we are going to
Everybody's
give another
interested.
one, another video, so that you watch this other one coming up.
My editor at Geographic wanted me to find America's blue zone, and for a while we looked on the prairies of Minnesota, where actually there's a very high proportion of centenarians.
Now, this is what you had the other one. The Adventist talking about health message, talking about medical missionary work, being the right arm of the gospel, and entering wage, reaching to the world, using health in reaching to the world. And now the world is speaking. This is now what the world has to talk about the Adventists and the message that the Adventists have.
But that's because all the young people left. So we turned to the data again, and we found America's longest lived population among the Seventh-day Adventists concentrated in and around Loma Linda, California. Adventists are conservative Methodists. They celebrate their Sabbath from sunset on Friday till sunset on Saturday, a 24-hour sanctuarian time, they call it. And they follow 5 little habits that conveys to them extraordinary longevity, comparatively speaking. In America here, life expectancy for the average woman is 80, but for an Adventist woman, their life expectancy is 89, and the difference is even more pronounced among men, who are expected to live about 11 years longer than their American counterparts. Now, this is a study that followed about 70,000 people for 30 years, sterling study, and I think it supremely illustrates the premise of this Blue Zone project. This is a heterogeneous community. It's white, black, Hispanic, Asian. The only thing they have in common are a set of very small lifestyle habits that they follow ritualistically for most of their lives. They take their diet directly from the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, where God talks about legumes and seeds, and on one more stanza about green plants, ostensibly missing his meat. They take this sanctuary and time very serious. For 24 hours every week, no matter how busy they are, how stressed out they are at work, we're the kids.
Now, if you want that video, you can get it. If you want to watch it, you can go online, you can see whatever it talks about and everything about it. But I want us to now focus back into Adventists. Now that you know that the Adventists are talking about health message and they're promoting health message, and health message is the right arm of the gospel, and you can see response from the world. So the question is, how are you going to use your health message to reach the world? How are you going to reach the world knowing that you're an Adventist? Because the world knows that the Adventists have it. And they're not ashamed about it. The world is not ashamed that the Adventists live among them. If the world is not ashamed about your message, would you be ashamed and embarrassed of your message? Would your message be an embarrassment to you? Would you be in the message or out of the message? How are you taking your message? How would your message be when somebody comes to you and you introduce yourself, I'm an Adventist? Look at the world. The first thing that comes into their mind, these are the healthiest people on earth. The healthiest people on earth. Today is a health day. I'm going back to my title, Vengeance is Mine. Let's go to Romans chapter 12 from verses 1. Romans chapter 12 from verses 1. Romans chapter 12 from verses 1. Our focus is in verses 19. Our focus is verses 19. From verses 1, I'll read through because there's something that I want us to get into. So this one, I'll just read through. So be keen when I'm reading this. Read it with me. Then we go straight to our talk. I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. So your body has to be a living sacrifice. So you present your body a living sacrifice. How are you going to present your body a living sacrifice? It means you have to have your body a living sacrifice before you can present it. Before you can carry it for a presentation, before you can carry it to give it, it must be presentable. You must see to it that it's presentable to the person you're going to give as a living sacrifice. Meaning, it is alive. It's not dead. It is alive, a living sacrifice. So what is it that is living in you that you make it living to present it to somebody else who's also alive? I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God. Your body must be acceptable to God. Before you can be used, it has to be acceptable. God has to accept it. So, as you carry your body going to God himself, God must say that, yes, this body that you're going to present to me is acceptable before me. And it says here, which is your reasonable service? When the world talks about you, and the world talks about Adventists as being the healthiest people on earth, and you're going to minister to them, and you're going to use something to reach them, your arm is going to reach them. Are they going to accept this arm that is going to give them the service needed in the world? And this arm, as we've seen it and we've heard it from Ted Wilson, health message is the right arm of the gospel. When you're going to give the gospel to these people, you must use your right arm to serve. And it says here, which is your reasonable service. Your body as a living sacrifice is the reasonable service that you're going to use to the world to serve the world. And this is your duty as a Christian. And it says, and be not conformed to this world. Do not be conformed to this world. When you go to the world, don't be conformed to the world. Don't be in the world for the world, but be in the world for the service that is needed for the world itself. Because they know that you have the service so needed that the world is going for. Everybody in the world is looking for a blue zone. And who are the blue people? Are you going to be a red person in the blue zone? Or you're going to be the blue person in the blue zone? Because the whole world has already identified, they've already identified and they've seen that the Adventists who live at a particular place have it. And so what is it that they're looking for? They're not looking for the Sabbath. They're not looking for anything else. They're not looking for Christ. They're looking for what you have. And what they're looking for is what will lead them into Christ. And they've already said, these Adventists, they keep the Sabbath, they have faith, they read the Bible, they do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what are they looking for? The health that you have. And because of this, so many people have come to investigate who are these Adventists. And by investigation, the Spirit of the Lord takes charge. It is not us to go and force them to be Adventists without giving them what they need first. So we have to go and give them the entering wage. And how is our body before we go there? That makes it all. It is not us to go and force the health message to them, but they want to see our life. They want to see what we live like. What is your life like? So that before you present yourself to them, they can read the health they're looking for from you. And we have been given the principles by which we need to live in order for us to be healthy and be presentable, a living sacrifice, living in your daily life. You walk around, you go to town, you go to work, and you go to the market, and people look at you and they read you a living sacrifice. For your reasonable service, the service that these people are coming to look for from you, can they see it? And now it says here, verse 3, for I say, though the grace be given unto you, for every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly. Soberly. Please underline that. Because in the afternoon I'm going to talk very extensively on the word sober. Be ye sober. So before you can go as a servant, you must be sober. Okay? You must be sober. And so he says here in verses 4, let me go to verses 4. For as we have many members of one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Christ, and everyone members of one another. Are you a caretaker of your brethren? Are you your brother's keeper? And how are you going to keep your brother? Are you going to judge your brother, or you're going to take care of your brother? We are members of one body, members of one another, having then the gift differing according to the grace that is given unto us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry. Let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth, or teaching, or he that exhorteth, or exhortation, or he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity, and he that ruleth with diligence, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be without dissimulation. Now Paul is climbing from the service to love. So we have to first take care of ourselves, that we be reasonable before we go to the people, so that by the time we are going to present love, we are acceptable in the community. And Paul says here that let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another. So that by the time we are going to the world, we have love and we have the service, and we are a reasonable service, and our bodies are sacrifices unto the Lord. So that the Lord looks at you and the Lord says, I will use you to spread my love. You cannot go and spread the love if you don't have love. How can you go and talk about love to a people when love itself is not visible in your daily life? When the world is coming to you, they're coming to look for something else. But how are they going to receive you? How are they going to welcome you? How are they going to see you among them? And so Paul is climbing up to the ladder, and he says, let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Look at how he's come up. Now you're going to serve the Lord when you have love in you. And you will have love in you if you can be a living sacrifice, if you can be presented to the world. Because if you go to the world in hatred, the world has it already. The world has it. The world has all kinds of hatred among themselves, all kinds of evil. And if you're going to go to the world with hatred, how are they going to receive you? A ball that is, which is good. And it says here, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing in instant prayer. Continuing in instant prayer. And then it says here, distributing to the necessity of the saints, given to hospitality. Bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Bless them that persecute you. When you go to the world and the world is a persecutor, how are you going to them? Are you going to persecute them because they're persecuting you? The Lord says, bless them which persecute you. Okay? And then it says, bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that do weep. Be of the same mind one to another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceit. Recompense no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. No evil for evil. No evil for evil. I thought I would hear a bigger man. No evil for evil. You cannot carry evil with you and go and give love. And you cannot carry evil to a person who already has evil and you expect to give them love. When you go to the world that has evil already, carry love with you so that you have something in exchange. If you have something in exchange and you give this person what they do not have, they will retain it. And Christ himself will take the evil from you. And listen to how Paul is putting it. Paul is actually explaining how this works. Verses 18. If it be possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men. Let all men be at peace because of your presence. Verses 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. Give place unto wrath. Prepare a place for wrath, so that wrath can be detained at its own place. Do not place wrath inside you. Because if evil is inside you, wrath will come for the evil. This is what Paul is explaining. And Paul is saying, prepare a place for wrath. So that when wrath comes, when vengeance comes, when the Lord comes to do away with that which is evil, he finds it where it is. What about if he comes and he finds that evil is in you? Who's going to be destroyed? And if your mission is to help save those who have evil, how can you retain that evil in you? And it says here, let me read from verses 18 again. If be possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourself, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord. Vengeance is mine. I will repay evil for evil. It's not our duty to go to the world and find the world has all evil and carry the same evil unto them. The Lord says, vengeance is mine. I will repay evil for evil. And then it says here in verses 20, it says here, therefore, if thine enemy anger, feed him. If thine enemy anger, feed him. If he thirst, give drink. Give him what is necessary. Give him what is good. Give him what is needful for his good. For in doing so, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. So that when the fire of the Lord comes, where will it land? When the fire of the Lord comes, where will it land? But if we carry ourselves and we are the ones holding on to each one's evil, where will the wrath of God fall? And this is why our duty is a living sacrifice carrying the presence of the Holy God in us. That when we go to these people and they have evil, our duty is to give them good, so that when good goes, it goes with the Lord's anger and the Lord's wrath. But if we take it to ourselves that when we get there, we are going to give them the evil, evil for evil, the last is the worst. So that if somebody does evil to you, who's holding the evil? They're holding the evil. So that when God comes and the Lord sends the angel to come and minister, the angel will come and look for where the evil is. Who had given evil? But if we go and we find that somebody has done evil to us and we want to pay it, and we go and we pay, and then the angel of the Lord comes, where will evil be? On me. The Lord says, avenge not, because by the time I send my angel to come and repay, you're not guilty. So give love, that when the Lord sends the angel, what will be found in you? And the Lord will pass over. The Lord will pass over. The Lord will not send this angel to come in and destroy that is evil in you. So each one of us, we need to know that the world needs love from us and not destruction. I want us to go through something here. Now, I want us to understand what this evil is. And vengeance. Repaying. By the way, let me now come back to teaching purposes. When you go back to what we're reading here, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. When somebody receives threat, anything that threatens life, anything that causes death, anything that threatens life, it threatens your life, the body releases something called adrenaline. And this adrenaline is a death informer. It informs you that there's danger. So your adrenaline, anytime your adrenaline is secreted, either because you fear, or because there's terror, or because an abuse, or because you're shaken, or because you're something, there's an information that has come to you threatening your life for any reason. It might be an abuse, it may be threat, it may be death, it may be anything else. Anything that is a threat to your life releases adrenaline by the same proportion of danger. So if danger is very little, that somebody just abuses you, you'll just see a little frown on your face. That's a very little adrenaline that has been secreted in you. It's just a little abuse. You're stupid. Very little adrenaline. But when somebody constantly comes to you and abuses you with heavy abuses, you constantly release that adrenaline and it piles up. Now, forget about an abuse. When somebody comes and threatens you with a sword, that I want to come in a sword, how much of the adrenaline will be released? The adrenaline that will be released then will not be just fear, will not just be anger, will not just be responding like so. That adrenaline will be secreted so highly that your feet will begin to move away from it. And when your feet begins to move away from it, your body has to be shaken and told, run. So the more adrenaline that is released, the faster you can run for your life. Every time an adrenaline is released, it pierces so much on the cells that the cells are never comfortable. The cells cease to work. That's why fear can cause death. Fear causes stress, and stress may cause depression, and depression weakens the immune system, and weakening the immune system, any disease can strike. And because of that, you can die instant. You can even have a heart attack by the amount of the adrenaline that has been released. For what reason that it was released is a threat to your living sacrifice. When we have love among ourselves, there's no adrenaline. You're not shaken. You boost your immune system. That is why when people are sick in the hospitals, they have people visit them to encourage them and to give them love. Don't you ever go to the hospital when somebody is sick and you look at them and you say, oh, you look miserable. You will die. You don't do that when you go to the hospital. When you go to the hospital, you encourage these people. You give them words of encouragement, and the words of encouragement boost the immune system. A merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a contrite spirit drieth the bones. Every time you have a contrite spirit, it drieth the production of the white blood cells in the bone marrow. Because it's the bone marrow that produces these things. Adrenaline shuts down that. So a contrite spirit drieth the bones. And we've been told that let not your adrenaline rise up overnight. It should not rise up overnight, because in the evening, that's when the body repairs. When you go to sleep, that's when the body repairs. But if adrenaline has been secreted overnight, it shuts down the repair. And that's why we're told, square with your brother before you go to sleep, so that there's love and there'll be work done in repairing the body. Before the Sabbath, you cannot come to Sabbath with your adrenaline shut up. When you come to the Sabbath, you must have solved all your issues with your brethren, so that when you come, did you know that Sabbath is Friday sunset to Saturday sunset? And science has revealed it, that Friday sunset to Sabbath sunset or Saturday sunset, the body rejuvenates. The body repairs. That is very scientific. Anything that is alive, the body repairs Friday night to Sabbath night. And if you go to Sabbath night, Friday night, with your adrenaline secreted up there, how are you going to repair? So that when you come to the house of the Lord, you frown. When you come to the house of the Lord, you look at your neighbor and you cannot smile. You look at them and your adrenaline is sharp. There's no repair for the Sabbath. And the Lord needs us all to be repaired over the Sabbath. The Sabbath was given to man for repair. It is at the time when you rest that the growth hormone is released. The growth hormone is known to break down the proteins. It is known for protein synthesis. So the protein breakdown, and the protein is what is used for repair. Anything that was torn is repaired when you're asleep. Because when you're asleep is when growth hormones are secreted. And that usually happens more between 8 and 1 o'clock in the night. So between 8 and 1 o'clock in the night is when the body repairs more. And that is when we're supposed to be sleeping better. We're supposed to be at rest. The other time that is known accumulatively is Friday night into Sabbath night. Friday night into Sabbath night, we are supposed to be at rest. And we are at rest, the body repairs. And we cannot repair if we have not solved our differences among ourselves. That is why the Lord says, solve all your differences so that your adrenaline does not rise up. Now listen to what it says here. I want us to look at what is here in this food thing so that we understand the separation of adrenaline that is here with us. If you look at food chain, I believe most of you went to high school. If you've gone through high school, I think you can understand what I'm talking about. Or if you're above grade 3, because this is something that is taught from grade 3. Food chain. In understanding food chain has categories. It has different laws that are there that have been given, so gives the title for the foods that you see there. Classes, different classes of foods. We have the producer. A producer has the law of production. And that is why all the things that are classified in the producer section, they produce, they combine, they compound things. They have the law of bringing different isolated elements into one thing that gives you a food. There is no other way that any other thing that is anywhere that has a different formula be called a producer, because they do not produce food. So food is only produced by the law of production. And the things that are known to have the law of production are only plants, the things that grow from the soil. So God in his wisdom, he put a law and he said, let the earth bring forth the things that grow, the herbs that yield seed. And that is Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 and 12. Let the earth bring forth. That is the law that God put there. And that is why scientists today, they do not have anything called a producer that does not come from the ground. They produce the food for us from isolated elements. And then the producer gives the food to them that eat it. So in the category of the foods that eat, if you look at that in the category of the things that eat, you have primary consumer. Okay, the primary consumer, they're still called consumers. You have a primary consumer, you have a secondary consumer, you have tertiary consumer. And in their levels, at different consumption levels, you have a primary consumer eat directly the food that has been produced. So a consumer has the law of consumption. Please mark it right. A consumer has the law of consumption. It looks for food where food is and it consumes. So it has the senses to look around and see where is my food. The food has no power to resist. Now in this category here, you look at the producer has no power to resist when a cow comes to eat it. An apple has no power to resist when you come and you have the money and you want to buy it. Even when it's on the tree, it has no power to resist. So every food has no power over the consumer in the next level. Looking at this one here, you see secondary consumer. Secondary consumer has power over primary consumer. It eats it at will. Please take note. It will eat it at will. And it has the technique of turning around and looking at it and saying, this is food for me. And every time a consumer sees another consumer higher in the consumption level, adrenaline is produced. Instantly. If for any reason we see a lion come in, I think everybody will run away except the Africans. By the way, not all Africans. The Maasais will say, oh, this is nothing. But still, they will be scared of it. They'll be like, and they'll look for how to defend themselves from a lion. They can only defend themselves from a lion if they're putting on that red scarf. You've seen the red thing? By the way, the trick on the red stuff, this one here, the trick on that red thing is, the red thing is checked with red and black and other colors. And when any animal that that operates in the night, they have this illuminating eye that when they look at this thing here, they will see like it's fire because it's checked. All animals are scared of fire in the wild. What they're scared most is fire. So when they look at it like this, they see like it's fire because it goes like that. And that's why they're running away. They're not running away because it's a human being. They're running away because what they're seeing, that's why all the Maasai, they have to put that thing on, and sometimes they spread it like this as they go to the lion, and the lion will just take off. But even in that, the adrenaline will always be produced. And what will make the lion run away is because they think there's this thing that is coming to kill them. And that's adrenaline. So look at that fact, and you'll see that a primary consumer will run away when it sees a secondary consumer. And the secondary consumer has all the power over it that it will just take it and consume it. By the time it takes it to consume it, the adrenaline has reached to the maximum that it cannot even run. And that is called dread. That's not fear. That will be dread. Now look at the third one, tertiary. If you look at tertiary, tertiary has power over secondary consumer, and secondary consumer has power over primary consumer. In that level, the adrenaline also is produced to the maximum. This is food chain. In understanding how God works, understand science. Now the other one down, if you look at then what goes down, you'll see decomposer. A decomposer does not produce adrenaline. A decomposer does not make you produce adrenaline because you do not even know that a decomposer lives with you. When you have a decomposer, it just decomposes you softly and it just rot. So they do not give it a name, consumer. A consumer will consume. And it's the consumer that will help you, will make you get your adrenaline rise. Now, I want us to continue a little so that we see something here. Look at the level of production, or the level of production of energy, in this case here. If you look at a primary producer, the producer has 100% of the energy that is needed. The energy to make you function, and the energy to let you go and do everything that you need. And the energy that will make you even do the service that the Lord needs you to do. Now, a primary consumer, when a primary consumer goes to eat the food which has 100% of the value, it will only acquire 10%. The law of consumption, in order for you to be a consumer, to benefit from the food of a producer, you can only transfer 10%. And at the 10%, you'll be wiser than all the men found in Babylon. Because they will be taking 1%. So all the people who will be around the king in Babylon, they'll be taking consumers. They will be eating consumers. When this consumer will be eating only plants and water. And in the end, they will be 10 times better in all the things that the king will inquire of them. And that will be Adventist. So if you're an Adventist who is ready for the service of the Lord, and you have 10%, how much power would you have to serve the Lord continually? But if you're an Adventist who is a secondary consumer, an Adventist who is a secondary consumer, look at what the secondary consumer gets. 1% if you're eating raw meat. Not when you're eating cooked meat. Because in this level here, there's nothing like these are humans and these are cows, and it calls them consumers. All the animals together, humans and whatever, it's only the humans who cook their food in the ecosystem. All the others eat raw. So this is based on raw. What you're seeing there is based on raw. So if you're eating raw, you're eating producer raw, okay, and it's 100%, you'll only get 10%. And you'll be considered, you can live even 10 years more than everybody else. The Adventists are known to live longer than everybody else. The Adventists are known to be wiser than everybody else. The Adventists are known to have the truth. How do you get the truth if the truth that you have in you is only one? When all the others have them 10, as in 10 commandments, you only have one commandment. And so we are told that there's another category. That is tertiary. Tertiary consumes secondary consumer. When secondary consumer only gets 1%, tertiary will be getting 0.1%. So, if you're an Adventist who eats what eats other things, consider what you get. And you still want to go use that for the service of the Lord in the city. And you have 0.1% of the truth that you're supposed to be giving them. They look at you, and what do they see? Miserable. They sit with you on the table. They are coming to sit with you on the table because they know you're an Adventist. You have something good that you need to add them. And what do they find? 0.1%. Who will come for you? Who will come for you? They will be asking you, I thought you're an Adventist. What are you eating? Because they know for sure, because they're the ones who give this. This is not from the Adventists. I'm going to share with you what the Lord has, what is in the Bible. This is from the world. And the world knows so well that those who eat right, they have 10%. And so in everything, in their intelligence, in their skill, in their health, in their capacity to reason, in their capacity to give the world the truth, they have 10. The rest of the world has only 1. So they come to you, you cannot even give them what they're supposed to get from you. Because you're a consumer in another level. Did you hear what the other man said? These Adventists are known to eat healthy. That's the first thing they say. They're known to have the right food. So if you have the right food, they will come for you because there's something. You have something. You can offer them something that they don't have. Now look at another category. There's some Adventists among us who are not even into the primary consumer. They're not even into the secondary consumer. They're not even into the tertiary consumer. These people are found in the decomposer level. Consider if you're an Adventist and you're found at the decomposer level. You're eating fungus. Look at that, fungus. If you're an Adventist and you're eating a decomposer, look at that level. The level goes as it diminishes. When it reaches tertiary, beyond tertiary, it has nothing to offer. Consider what is there. If you look at that pyramid, by the time you pass tertiary, what do you get? Minus. It's not 0 anymore. It's minus. Instead of you giving the world, are we together? Because you're supposed to be adding and giving the world. Instead of you giving the world will be giving you. And so it will be minus. Consider what you eat as an Adventist, so that you be a living sacrifice unto these people. Now let's move on with the consumer. We will see in the Bible. Now let's come to the Adventists, the way the Lord has given us in the Bible. We've seen what the world has. The world does not, in any way you're not supposed to be categorized under decomposer. I'd rather you be found at tertiary. I'd rather tertiary, you will have 0.01. Okay? But at decomposer, so most of us as Adventists, we do not eat meat, we don't eat beef, we don't eat shrimps, we don't eat snakes, we don't eat eagles, no vulture. But we eat yeast. You didn't get that. What is yeast? Yeast is fungus. Yeast is a single cell living organism called a pathogen. And it's a decomposer of the highest order. If there's one thing that decomposes Adventists more than anything else, it's yeast. Because they have no clue. Yeah, now you're not talking. No more amens. Yeast, mushroom. A mushroom. A mushroom is a decomposer. Decomposing the Adventist like you've never imagined. What's the food category that you have? And your capacity to serve the Lord in reasoning. A living sacrifice. We are not supposed to be talking about food. We are not supposed to be preaching about food. And I'm not preaching about food. But I'm just telling you. That if you want to carry the gospel, how is your living sacrifice? How is your body? God has given us all these things and has said, take care of yourself. This is how you need to operate. Look at what Daniel did. Daniel was taught by the parents. Actually, if you read the comments about Daniel, before Daniel went into captivity, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were taught by the parents that this would be a means of your salvation when you get into Babylon. Quote, this would be a means of your salvation when you get into Babylon. Because when you get into Babylon, the Lord will need to live in you. And that's why Daniel, when he got into that place, he said, no, I do not want to defile my body. Then God came in. There were so many people. Millions of the children of Israel were in Babylon at that time. But the Lord talked so highly of Daniel. When you go to Ezekiel chapter 14, Ezekiel chapter 14, the Lord talked so highly of Daniel. Not because Daniel had the gospel, not because Daniel kept the 10 commandments, but because Daniel was a living sacrifice. He actually did not defile his body. How about the Adventists? People don't talk about the Adventists because you keep the Sabbath. The Jews keep the Sabbath better than you. And nobody talks about the Jews. There's so many Jews in America. There's so many Jews living around the New York area. Actually, I was so surprised when I went there. One day we went there and we were visiting one of our friends who lived among the Jews who were around there. And we were told that in that quarter, they only allow Adventists, Seventh-day-Adventists and other Sabbath keepers to live there, particularly the Adventists, because these are the Gentiles who keep the Sabbath. So the work of the Gentiles who keep the Sabbath is to do the things that the Jews cannot do on the Sabbath. And I was with my friend on that day, on Friday evening. We were sitting and we saw this Jew come in. And this Jew, when he came in, she came in, it was a she. She came in and she was like, oh, please, can you come and help me? And my friend was like, yeah, this is what we do. This is why we live in this place here. And I said, what is it that you're going to do? Let me go see. I'll tell you when I come back. The reason why she wanted this guy was because she had been driving and she was late. She was caught in traffic and she came in. She drove in after the Sabbath had come. And so she came in with the car. She had the car, but she could not turn off the engine because it was already the Sabbath. A Jew who could not turn off the engine on the Sabbath has to invite a Sabbath keeper who is a Gentile to come and turn off the engine when the Sabbath is already come in. Then we were still there. Another one shows up. Another woman also. She comes and she calls the same guy to come and turn off the stove because she was cooking and this thing cooked over into the Sabbath. Come and switch off the stove for me because it's already the Sabbath. People don't come to you because you keep the Sabbath. Because there are people who think they keep the Sabbath more than you do. But they come to you because you have something unique that the world does not have. They come to you because of health reasons. So it's not your duty to go out there to go and preach it to them. You go there because you know you have the gospel. You have something better to offer than just talk about meat. So when I come to you because this is your message. This is your pulpit and this is your message. And Ted Wilson has said this is the message that you need to hold. And so you hold it because you want to make your body a living sacrifice. So that when you go to these people, the Lord is with you. The Spirit of the Lord goes before you. And they have something better, the gospel. And you must have love in you. Now look at this one here. The original diet that God gave. Okay? And God said, see, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth. Okay? Did you write that? Okay? See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth. Okay? I think it's going a little too fast. Okay, here we are. And God says, see, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the land, and every tree with the seed in its fruit, ye shall have it for food. So the commandment was, I have given you this one for food. So if there's any food that God gave us in its purity, where there was perfect love in the Garden of Eden, it was what? Seed yielding plants. Okay? And you can see them, grains, nuts, and fruits. Now, let's move on. Inside a seed, there's something propelling life. And if you look at that, at the beginning of it is the engine that propels, that gives life. That engine has a lot of energy. That propeller has a lot of energy because in order for it to propel life and propel this plant to grow, it has to be loaded with a lot of kilojoules. It's measured in kilojoules. Energy in kilojoules. And the kilojoules depends on how pure and how wholesome the plant is. And this is what we're supposed to be transferring to us in order for us to be loaded with energy like they have. Most of the foods that we eat these days, they've taken out that part. So that you only get the outer portion. The outer portion does not have the energy, the propeller like that one has. And that is why they're called a producer. They propel. They have the energy to propel. And so every seed that is there has the energy to propel and transfer life into the other life. Okay? Now, if you look at it there, you'll see the embryo, what you call the embryo. This is life. A living sacrifice will only be propelled by a living object. So if you have a living organism that can propel into a living organism, not death that will propel life in you. If you're feeding on decomposers, a decomposer is death, the symbol of death, sin and death. If you're feeding on that, how are you going to get energy that will propel you into life? No wonder Christ gave a memorial on decomposers. Memorial. So that when you're taking the Holy Communion, why do you take the Holy Communion? Why is there no decomposer in the Holy Communion that you take? I had the pastor announce the other day and he was talking about the Holy Communion. I was here when you're taking the Holy Communion. And in your Holy Communion, you're not supposed to take anything that leavens. You're not supposed to take anything that is decomposer. Why is that? If the Lord even put a memorial for you, can't you think? Can't you use your 10% that you get to reason? You're supposed to be getting the 10% to reason and to have the truth. If the world has the truth, more than you have the truth. So what are you going to tell them if you're still eating decomposers and they know that a decomposer is a symbol of sin and death? And you're still packed up with your decomposers and you're eating your decomposers. And you don't want anybody to talk about your decomposers. If you still know that you're taking your decomposers, a decomposer is a symbol of sin and death, and it has no propeller of life at all. You have to take these foods when they still have that life in them. Every food that has not a decomposer with it has the life, and that is the life that will propel and give you energy. Let's look at something else. Man's second diet. God told man to eat all the fruits that they found there except one. So the moment they went and they ate that one, we're coming in the afternoon to see what was there with that one. In the afternoon, that's an afternoon topic. But now in this one here, and then to Adam he said, because you have heeded the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. So curse came, a curse came. Now listen to this one here, a curse. So God wants to give you another food after the curse, with a curse. And he says, curse is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you. And you shall eat the herbs, now the leaves, the vegetables. Some of you still have a problem with vegetables. Vegetable was a second-hand food. It was not even first-hand food. It was second-hand. And it was given to repair that which was already spoiled. So because you've already sinned, I give you vegetables to eat. So eat your vegetables to repair your living sacrifice. It's a repair for you, for the healing of nations. Okay? So he said, because, this is the reason, because. The other one was excellent and was propelling and giving you energy and life to live and live and live and live and live. And because you ate something, you shall die. Now the Lord comes and says, because you've eaten this, I'll give you something else. And it is herbs, the green vegetables. Okay? Now, let's look at something else. Now, as we move on, what do we see there? Gross wickedness on earth. Okay? Now, prepare yourself for the third diet. The first diet, what did we see on the first diet? It was a perfect food. What was it? Grains, nuts, and fruits. And then we sinned. The second food was what? Vegetables, the leaves. And now we come to the third one. And the vegetables were given to repair. Now, let's go to the third one. Now, man is continually sinning. Okay? Man is continually sinning. By the way, I want us to read this from the Bible. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis chapter 9. Okay? Let's go to Genesis chapter 9. Genesis chapter 9 from verses 2. Genesis chapter 9 verses 2. Are we there? Genesis chapter 9 verses 2. What does it read like? Who is there? Who can read loud? And the fear of you and the dread of you. Now let's go back to our adrenaline. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Now the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon the animals. So what causes fear? Adrenaline. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon the animals. When the animals will see you, they'll be afraid. They'll fear you and they'll have dread. And when they fear you and they have dread, what will happen? The adrenaline will shoot up and they will be full of adrenaline. So that by the time you take them to eat them, they're full of adrenaline. And when your body releases your own adrenaline and love comes in and you're comforted, that adrenaline goes back. But if adrenaline has been released so highly and this animal is slaughtered, there's no way that adrenaline is going back. That adrenaline remains in the flesh. And that is the flesh you're going to eat. That is the flesh you're going to eat. And now if you look at the category on how God is talking about that, if you go to verses 4, actually God tells you, the flesh shall ye not eat, the blood shall ye not eat, because it has life in it. Okay? So he says you shall not eat it. So God is giving you this to eat, giving you this animal to eat, and at the same time he's telling you don't eat it. I mean, what is that? Eat it, but don't eat it. Where is your wisdom? Use your 10% to reason. God is saying gross wickedness has come into man, and the evil of their hearts is, the minds is continually evil. So he's introducing another food for you. In that category, he says, I'm introducing another food for you. So you shall eat these animals when they have fear and dread. So you will eat a consumer. God is introducing a consumer as food for you. So we go back into that category and we'll see, you're eating a consumer. What level of a consumer are you going to eat? The one that has 1% or the one that has 0.1%? That's now your own thought. What are you going to eat? 0.1 or 1%? And in that category, when you eat, it depends on what you eat that your life also will shorten. And if we look at E.G. White, we'll talk about that in the afternoon, that God is going to shorten your sinful life based on what you eat. Vengeance is mine. You kill it, verses 5. Verses 5 says, if you kill it, I will get your blood. Read verses 5. We're finishing with verses 5. Surely for your lifeblood, I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast, I will demand a reckoning. Now, listen to this. As an Adventist, love one another. Let love be in you. Let the love that God gave be in you. What are you going to show the world? The world knows that you're healthy, and the world knows that you eat food. You don't eat the things that eat food. They know that you eat food. And that is why they know that the Adventists eat healthy plants. And you'll be healthy. May the Lord be with you. May the Lord be with you. May the Lord be with you. Oh yeah, I'm reminded that I should use that. May the Lord be with you. That you know that you can be healthy in your own way of practice without somebody telling you. So next time I will not come onto the pulpit to tell you how to eat healthy. I will not come to the pulpit to tell you not to eat the animals. But I'm telling you today that eat that you may be healthy for your own sake. Let's rise up for a word of prayer. As we pray, may the Lord give us understanding. May the Lord give us understanding, and may the Lord give us knowledge to know exactly what our health message is for. Our health message is very powerful. And our health message is for us to be of service to the Lord. And it helps us also with so many diseases, and to take care of diseases. among us. Lord God in heaven, precious Father, Lord, may you be with us. May you bless us and help us to understand. If there's anything that might not be of good understanding to us, Lord, we pray that you may bring our 10% of knowledge to know better. Help us love one another. Perfect love casteth away fear. Be with us. Be with us. Be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We have part 2 in the afternoon, so please don't miss so that you get everything complete.
From your Bible, I want us to read, all of us read this together. Then we get the proper understanding of what is there. From your Bibles, King James. From your Bibles, King James. Let's pray. Lord God in heaven, precious Father, we thank you again. We magnify your holy name. Glory and honor be unto you. Lord, may you give us wisdom and understanding. May your Spirit bind us in your love as we study your words. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Genesis chapter. By the way, let's move back a little because now we have afternoon. Okay, we're not restricted so much with 35 minutes. Okay, let's go back to Genesis chapter 6 and see the beginning for the reason for this diet. The reason for the beginning of this food in the food chain that we have. In Genesis chapter 6, verses 1, it says, "And it came to pass when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Okay? So life was continuing. Life is continuing. And people are in their regular worldly lives. Okay? Verses 3 it says, "And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. My spirit shall not strive with man." Seeing that man is just flesh. And it says, "Yet his days shall be 120 years only." Now from 900 years, 930 Adam, 969 Methuselah. Now God is saying man shall only live for 120 years. Only. To this extent, we see that who is the oldest man in this room? Who's older than me? Oh yeah, I can see some people are older than me here. Now, if you look at them, those who are older than me, you see them, they begin to walk like. Now the oldest will be walking like, how old would that person be?
150? Do you have anyone here who's 120? Why? But you're reading the Bible, and the Bible, God says, for his years shall be 120 only. Now, if by that time, the Lord had already pronounced and saying, his years shall be 120, and among us today, we do not have anyone who is even 100. When you find somebody who's 100, people are like, oh, people just come there to see that kind of a person. Back then, when people are living 900 years old, at age 200, that's when they're thinking of, I think I need to get married. But as of now, when somebody is 100, and you hear that somebody is 100 and they're going to have a wedding, people have to make it big news. Somebody at 100 is going to get married. By 100, you should have been dead long time. And so the Lord says here that his years shall be 120 years only. So something is changing. The Lord is changing something here. He's saying, no. These people, 120. And how is he going to make the 120 years of these people? Verses 4. There were giants in the earth in those days. So people were huge, tall, big. Not like now when you see, who's the tallest person here? The tallest person here should be a dwarf. Okay? Because the tallest person here, we see the tallest person here is maybe 6'4", 6'4", or 6'8". That is tall. I went to one of these churches here in Dallas, and I saw somebody who was very tall. Whenever he was coming to pass by the thing, he would go like that, and then goes in. And I was at the pulpit, I said, wow, I've just seen a tall guy come in. He was tall. Actually, they call him Mr. Tall. Mrefu means tall. They call him Mrefu, they call him tall. And that one is not even the tallest. When you go to the South Sudanese, they have very tall people. You look at this, tall. Now, when you went to Canaan, when the children of Israel were getting into Canaan, they just lived for 430 years in Egypt, where people were dwarfs. They were eating horrible. They were dwarfs. And now they are getting into Canaan. What was the sign that Canaan was healthy? Grapes. Did you see the big grapes that they showed? Big, huge grapes. And what was the people like? They were giants. So the children of Israel were like grasshoppers. Now look at this one here. By the time the children of Israel there are people who are giants and there are people who are dwarfs. And the Lord was taking the children of Israel from a people who were dwarfs to a people who were giants. And the sign that these people were giants was the grapes that they brought from that place. And the grapes were as giant as these people were. And the Lord had already said, you are what you eat. For what I give you, you shall live. And I am considering this one here. It says there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, that they bare children also who are giants. But now things are changing. The giants live long. Okay? But now, things are changing. Look at verse 6. It says, and it repented the Lord. So the Lord can repent. Can you see that? It repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth. So the Lord actually said, why did I even make man on earth? I'm sorry for having made man. Because man was only evil continually. The imagination or the thoughts of him was only evil continually. And so the Lord says, it repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him. So when the Lord is grieved, it means he is in pain, he is sorrowful, he is regretting why he made man. And now he wants to do something to man. Look at verse 7. It says, and the Lord said, I will destroy. So
it repented the Lord that he had made man. It grieved him in his heart. And now he says, I will destroy man who was made. And he's already pronounced 120 years to man only. Man is not going to be a giant. Man is not going to live long because he is only in sin continually. And his imaginations are only evil. So the Lord said, I have to shorten this man's life. The person who was being shortened, the life of the person who was being shortened was the sinner. And not a holy person praising and worshiping God. So if you are holy and praising and worshiping God, you're supposed to live longer. But if you are a sinner whose mind is only evil continually, your life should be shortened so that you don't live too long in sin. So the Lord is saying something here. Okay, now he's destroying everything that is on earth, everything, because everything was, there were giants. Everything, there were giants, the birds were giants, and people were giants, and the animals were giants, and crocodiles were giants, and name it, everything was giant, 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 giant. And now the Lord said, all these giants must go. And all these things must go as they are, so that we have a new breed of things that do not live too long in sinful world. So if the world is in sin, the world is in sin, the world needs rescue from you. What are you going to give them? What are you going to give them? Now, look at this. Let's continue. Go to chapter 8, chapter 9. Chapter 9 now, everything has been destroyed and the floods came and swept everything, and now we have a new breed of people. So people came out, and God said, in this one here, in chapter 1, from verse 1, and God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Verse 2, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. The fear of you. So the Lord is pronouncing a new direction and a new commandment to these people who are supposed to be very sinful. So he's saying, the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and all the fishes of the sea into your hand they delivered. All these things have been delivered into your hand. For what reason? You go to verse 3, it says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. So all these things that the Lord has, all the consumers, we saw the consumers, all the consumers of the earth, okay, have been given to us for food. All the consumers are now given to us for what? For food. The fear of us, the adrenaline in these things have been given to us for food. You're only evil continually, and your years shall be 120 only. All the consumers have been given for you for food. All the adrenaline, they will have to produce adrenaline fast before you can consume it. By the way, when I was growing up, we used to eat a lot of chicken whenever there's a visitor. All the other time we were eating vegetables. Because we were poor, we didn't, a pastor's kid, we didn't make millions. So, a pastor's kid, I'm third generation. So there's a pastor, okay, and then there was a pastor, and now there's me. So I'm third generation Adventist, and pastors don't make that much money, okay, unless they're given some gift, Mercedes Benz that is parked there. But they can't just afford to buy a Mercedes Benz. You know what I'm talking about? It's not like you bankers where you budget for a Mercedes Benz. So for us, when we were growing up, we lived. Somebody's guilty here. Now look at this case here, where we lived on vegetables. We lived on vegetables, and that was common in Africa. We lived on vegetables. It's not a new thing. Whether you're a banker or not a banker, it was common that we lived on vegetables. So throughout the time, we were on vegetables. And we were so happy when we saw a visitor come. Every time I saw a visitor, I saw somebody coming with a suitcase or coming with somebody, and I could see that this is a visitor. Whatever came to my mind, the first thing that came to my mind, today we'll eat chicken. And we used to have a song. We used to have a song that they used to sing that when you see a visitor, chicken is there. And you know, with the chicken, we will only be privileged to eat the chicken legs. That's the only thing we would eat. And I was always craving for the chicken leg. If I would be lucky, I would be given the chicken head also. Okay? Or if there are so many visitors that day, then I would be privileged to get the soup. Just the soup. And a big bread, a big portion of that other bread, the soup. So the soup would make you eat more vegetables. That's how we live. And I was privileged to be the chicken catcher. Because our chicken were not in a cage somewhere where you just pick them. They will be left roaming the whole compound. And by the way, we have a huge compound. I didn't like it for cleaning. Because I was the one to clean, the leaves and we have so many trees. Every morning I would be cleaning the whole compound before I go to school. I didn't like it for that. And number two, I didn't like it when I had to now go running after the chicken when a visitor comes. Because it was my duty to run after the chicken and catch the chicken before the chicken can disappear on the other side of the fence. And so we devised a way of catching the chicken. Because I was becoming older, so running as fast as I was when I was little became, reduced. So I had to come up with something. So what we came up with, my mom would give me maize, what we call maize or corn. Okay? So if the chicken was there, I would throw it there, and the chicken would follow that and throw another one. And another one, and another one, and another one, and another. What a love. And the chicken was so happy because I am loved and I'm getting closer to my master so I can get more. And right here, I would put more. That the chicken would go like tak, 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 and more. While this chicken is here, is a good catch. I would not even run. All I would do, I would jump up so high with all the noise that I had. And by the time I shout up, what is happening to the chicken? The chicken's adrenaline has been produced to the maximum, and that pulls the chicken from down, and the chicken cannot go up, it turns upside down. And when the chicken goes and turns upside down for fear, I'll just drop down and pick the chicken and take it for slaughter. That was my duty when I was little. Now you can imagine that kind of a chicken that adrenaline has maximized. That the chicken cannot even run. That is what you call dread. That's not fear. Fear is when you want to cut the chicken and the chicken runs. But the case where the chicken cannot even run, the adrenaline, even you, when all of a sudden you realize that next to you is a lion. Or next to you is a python. What do? You can't even run. You can't run. You might even find yourself helping yourself where you are. Because of fear, it goes to dread. That's why the Bible says here, the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. So they will dread just because of you. It will go beyond fear just because of you. And then in verses 3 it says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. So all these things, as they develop this adrenaline, they will be meat for you in the adrenaline. And then it says here, verses 4. Okay, no, end of verse 3 it says, even as the green herb have I given you all things. So as the green herb herb, we sow the green herb. Even as the green herb, have I given you also flesh. So flesh is also introduced to us in God's anger and God's wrath because of the sins of the people. Verses 4, he says, but. He's using the word but. So if somebody gives you something and says but, meaning there's caution. He gives it to you for food, but he says, but flesh with the life thereof. So there's caution in life. You are not supposed to just take chicken and eat it when it's alive. What do you do with a chicken? You slaughter. Why do you slaughter? You kill it. It means you have to take away that life. That's caution number one. That comes with it. Okay? Be careful. There's caution number one. You eat it, but it has to be dead. Who kills it? If you go and you find chicken that was already killed by somebody else, what does the Bible say about that? You are not supposed to eat it. You cannot eat. It's a Leviticus. You cannot eat anything that died of itself or that is torn in pieces by somebody else. That's why the children of Israel had to slaughter their own. Muslims to date, they don't just eat anything that is slaughtered by anybody else. It has to be either them or a brother. Because the instruction here says, it must be dead, you cannot eat it alive. It is you. You have to kill it. You have to make the killing. Because in this killing, the adrenaline will have to come out. The adrenaline will have to come out because of your fear. Fear from you and the dread from you. That will have to go into this animal before you eat it. And then it says here, okay, which is in the blood thereof. So the blood you cannot also not eat. So there are two things here that you cannot eat. One, you cannot eat life, you cannot eat blood. The two things. So what must you do to the blood? You have to shade the blood. You have to see the blood go down. You have to see the blood go down. And you have to see this animal lose life. Before you can put the animal into your mouth and let the animal go down into your stomach. Because of the evil that was only evil continually on earth, the Lord decided to introduce a third food. And the third food is now a consumer. Now consider the law that it has. Consumer. When you consume a consumer, the consumer consumes you. When you eat a producer, the producer produces you. When you eat a consumer, the consumer consumes you, so that your years would only be 120 years only. I don't know how it would be when you begin to eat decomposers. If a producer produces you and helps you grow, a consumer consumes you. What about a decomposer? No wonder we keep having yeast infections. Yes. Yes. Name them. Name them. All the fungal infections that we have, all the candidas, 38 known diseases that come from candida. Each one has a physician or doctor specialist. This one is specialized for this particular one. When the other one comes, it sends you to another one. That one is specialized in another one, and this one is specialized. 38 known diseases. Just because of fungus. Just because of yeast. Just because of candida. A decomposer. Now listen to this one here. Now you've done that. You have taken this animal, this living thing, this meat, this thing. You've already done exactly what God has said. You have taken away life because God says you have to. do that. You've taken away life, and you've shaved the blood, and the blood has gone into the soil. Exactly, that is what the Lord said. Now come to verses 5. And verses 5 says, and surely, this is now sure, you've done exactly what God has said you do. Very faithful Adventist. You've done exactly what God said do. And now he says, and surely you've done that. And surely your blood of your life will I require at the hand of every beast will I require it. You shall live for 120 years only, and you shall be dwarfs. This was not meant to be for Adventists. That's why Adventists, we know so well. I don't know why we keep banging on this back and forth. It's in our books. We are not supposed to be eating these meats. It's in our books. It's not a secret. There's no secret in it. And I don't know why we debate. I can't understand why we debate over this thing. The Adventists, we know it's our message. It is a message that is given to us. We are not supposed, and that's why when you come even to potluck, you don't serve it. It's not there. You go to our institutions, it's not there. We don't serve it. When you go back into your houses, you do what you want. Because Paul has said, now don't talk about it, and you do what you want. Let each one do what they want. And so you've been given the mandate to rethink and think for your own self. And you're in your house and you're thinking for your own self. And you mess up yourself in your house. When you're in church, you pretend, you say, we Adventists, we don't serve meat. We don't, as Adventists, we don't. But when you go to your house, you forget the fact that you're an Adventist. You go to the parties. Go and see Adventist parties and weddings, how they serve, and consider if the wedding can be called a holy place. Is there a living sacrifice at the wedding? Is there a living sacrifice during Christmas and New Year? Go and see them in their parties in their own houses. But when they are here, things are so smart, and you can be led to the table where you can eat stuff. You're told, hey, you can eat. But sometimes when you visit them in their houses, you can be told, hey, please come after 4. Come after 4. Because if you come in before 4, you might see the things that next time when you get to the pulpit, you will be preaching. We have to be very careful to think of what we have. It says, and surely your blood of your life will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require, and at the hand of every man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of a man. The life of a man. Will I require the life of a man? For every beast and for every man. So there's no difference. Go to Isaiah 66. Can someone read that? Isaiah 66 verse 3. He that killeth an ox is as he who slew a man. So you kill an ox is like you kill a man. There's no difference. And here the Lord says, I will require the life of a man. He's so mad at you. The Lord is somebody is saying, I will destroy man whom I made. And now he's given you a formula that if you can use just a little frontal lobe, a little portion of the frontal lobe, you will see what God is talking about here. He has given you this food because he's so mad at you. This is not the original food that he gave you. The first food that he gave you was perfect and was for continuity in love. The second food was to repair you because man had not even given birth. And the Lord was like, now man, what will I do with man? He has sinned. What will I do? So he gave vegetables. If we only ate these vegetables and fruits and nuts and grains, we would have been at a better place. But 2,000 years later, the Lord is seeing that man is only evil continually. So what do I do with man? Let me give man consumers. So the consumer can consume them. There was not any decomposer that was given to man. He was only given consumer so that this would consume him shortly and shortly and short, so that he doesn't live too long, but at least he would enjoy life. Like in this congregation here, you look at all these people here, I think you've enjoyed enough life that you think now I've enjoyed life. Like now, New Year is come up, Christmas is gone, Thanksgiving was gone. You enjoy it. Try and think of what you ate on your table, what you set up on your table on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is known for just one big food. One big food. One food. Yeah, Thanksgiving. And tell me if you didn't participate on Thanksgiving. Yeah. And then here comes Christmas. Christmas is now known for chicken. Chicken and chicken and chicken and chicken and chicken, 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 and alcohol. Yeah. And now you come to New Year. I don't know what you're going to eat on New Year. At least New Year be new. In the New Year, be new. Yeah. And start thinking new in the New Year. Don't be messed up like you were messed up when the year was closing. Let the year close by what is dead already. And you have the New Year with things that have risen up. And make it new in your life. Now, I want us to move on a little. Let's look at that one up there. Okay? That's the third food that God has given. It says, every moving thing that liveth shall be food for you. And we can know now why God gave that. Okay, if you look at the results of this diet, okay, the results of that diet, and from Counsels on Diets and Foods, do you have that book? Counsels on Diets and Foods. Okay, page 373. It says, after the flood, the people ate largely of animal food, and he permitted that long-lived race to eat the animal food to shorten their sinful lives. This is E.G. White, and we're told that he gave animal food to shorten their sinful life. So the people who are supposed to be eating the flesh are the people who are only living a sinful life. So consider your lives, what you've been living like. If you know you're living a sinful life and you still want to continue living a sinful life, then continue eating meat. Because it's for you. It's for you. So if you go to a place and you want to participate in evil and all that is there, continue eating the meat. Because we're told here that after the flood, the people ate plenty of animal food. And he permitted that long-lived race to eat the animal food to shorten their sinful life. Soon after the flood, the race began to rapidly decrease in size and in length of years. 120 years only. And it was not for you. The 120 years that was shortened human being. That was only for the sinful people. The Lord is calling on us again to rethink on what diet He has given His holy people, our holy brethren, are people who know that their bodies need to be living sacrifices, are people who want the Lord to live inside them, are people who want to be of the service of the Lord. What kind of a meal are you going to eat? Now look at those people, how they're shot during our time. Okay? Now if you look at this one here, what do you see? Before the floods, they were giants. And they lived long, 969. What about today? If you see somebody who's 70 years old, 70, how do they walk? They're already going, they're already on their way down. They come up when they're so young and they think they're growing, going up, going up, going up. They reach somewhere here. It's about 70 years, okay? They reach somewhere here, okay? Here, they begin to come down and they fold. And if they cannot fold anymore, They will be laying on the bed, never to rise up. 70 years old. Your life expectancy, I don't know what life expectancy in the US is. Anybody knows? You can always Google and see. I know it, but I'm not telling you. Yeah, because that's what I study. I go to different countries, and in every country I ask them, what's your life expectancy? Yeah. Now consider that if your people, your life expectancy for your country is below 100. When people are supposed to live to 1,000 years, they cannot even get to 1,000 years. The best was 969, did not even get to 1,000 years. Now, how are you going to consider yourself 30 years old and you're dying? 30 years old and you're dying. Now consider that and see what the Lord wants for you. That He is preparing you to live 1,000 years with Him in heaven. 1,000 years in heaven. When you're just going to live 1,000 years in heaven. What kind of a lifestyle are you going to live in heaven? And if you cannot live it on earth, how are you going to live it in heaven? When you get into heaven is when you want to start living this life. It will be too late for you. Start preparing. The Lord is telling you to start preparing that you might live this life. And the people who've been given this message are the people who call themselves Adventists. Because they're waiting for Jesus coming. And so the whole world, they're looking for these people. There are people who've started living like they want to live in heaven. Who are they? We found them. Where are they? In California and not in Texas. They only found in California. So I'd rather all of you move to California and leave the one for Texas. But if you have a mission in Texas, it is you people to convince the rest of America that, hey, we have such like a people in Texas. Where do we find them? McKinney. You have to prove it to the world that you've started living a life of a people who are going to heaven to live for 1,000 years beyond 969 years that Methuselah lived. Yeah, this has nothing to do with the gospel. It has nothing to do with salvation of the gospel or what. It has something, what I'm talking about is it has something for you that you want to live a life. Today's lesson, what is there, Christian? Living. So the Christian living that you're going to live, what kind of a life are these people going to look for? Already you've seen on the video that these people are looking for the Advent to live a life that they want to live. So they're coming to you that you may tell them how to live. Now, let's move on a little and see something. The promise of a great nation. Now the Lord said to Abraham, get out of your country and to Allah. Now, the Lord is using Abraham now. He is picking Abraham for a seed. Seed. Preserve a seed. So this seed, I want this seed to be an example to the rest of the world. An example to the rest of the world. So that the rest of the world can come and say, we have a people. We know our people. We know our people who can live a healthy life. We know our people who have salvation. We know our people. If we want to know what the Lord is saying, we know our people. Okay? Like now, we have the Bible. Everybody goes, people are going to look for things from the Bible. The Bible has a story. The Bible was the Bible. Now, if all these people are looking for the Bible, who will be found who would live a true life or a true example of what the Bible is? Will it be you? Or will it be somebody else? So the Lord picked on Abraham and said, your seed, your descendants. Let's read there. It says, to another I will show you, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. Look now toward heaven and count the stars. If you are able to number them, so shall your descendants be. There'll be so many. Okay? And he believed in the Lord and counted him for righteousness. Now, if you look at the seed was supposed to produce so many. And now look at this. He's saying to Abraham, and God said to Abraham, know positive that your descendants will be strangers dwelling in a temporary land, or temporary residence in a land that is not theirs, Egypt, and will be slaves there, and they will be afflicted and oppressed for 400 years. By the way, they were there for 430 years. There's this 430, there's this 30, okay? It's not time for prophecy, but I will talk about 30 later, because, you know, even Jesus lived for 30 and something happened. You know, the children of Israel were also in Babylon, okay, for 430 years. 40 was for Judah, and 390 was for Israel. So Israel and Judah both, they counted it, and it was 930. In captivity, this one was also 930. So what is this 30 that the Lord is talking about? Now, if you look at this one here, and it says here, there he made a statute and an ordinance for them, and there he tested them, and said, if you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, and do that which is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes. Statutes are the health laws. You know that. The statutes. If you keep the statutes and you keep the commandments of God. If you do that, I will put none of the diseases which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth you. Now, I'm the Lord that heals you. He took these people into Egypt so that they may live and see the lifestyle that is in Egypt and experience it. So that when the Lord will pull them out of that place, they can see a difference. And the whole world will see a difference. The lifestyle that is there and the lifestyle that is there with the children of Israel. And that is where the children of Israel were taken back into the original diet that God had given at the beginning. And these people, instead of obeying, the people rebel. Okay? Now, look at the diseases that were found in Egypt. Okay? Cancers of various types, cardiovascular disease, cirrhosis of the liver, degenerative joint disease, tooth decay, malaria, bilharzia. Okay? Now, look at this. In the wilderness of sin, these are people who had been in Egypt, and these are people who saw and knew so well what was there. Okay? They knew so well. And now it says here, okay, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, at twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. The children of Israel started murmuring and complaining because of the diet that God had given them. Even though they knew that the Lord had given them a best diet, and they were supposed to be an example to the rest of the world, they decided to murmur and complain because they wanted the bread and the meat. What was in the bread? Decomposer. And what was the meat? Consumed. So, in food chain, the entire consumer package gone. Decomposer gone, leaving you with plants only. That's why the Adventists should be plantarians. No traces of consumer, no traces of animals, and no traces of decomposing items, organisms. And so, the Lord said, at twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. Okay? So it was that quail came up at evening and covered the camp. And in the morning, the dew lay all around the camp. there on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance as fine as frost on the ground. Okay, so when the children of Israel came out, what did they see? It was not manna. When they came out, what did they see? They saw this white substance that was out there. And so they went out. They said, hey, no, this is what? Not what is this? They said, this is what? So it is Manna. In my language, what do we say? Ma-ango. The Hebrews, in their language, they say Ma-anna. And the response was, and Moses said to them, this is bread. This is the bread that the Lord has given you. So they went out saying, hey, manna, manna. So the name remained manna. Manna is not English. Manna is a Hebrew word for this is what. And Moses responded, saying, this is bread that the Lord has given you. So instead of the bread of Egypt, the decomposing bread of Egypt, the Lord gave them bread that was fresh. And the instruction for them to get and to know that this bread is fresh and is not decomposing and cannot decay and cannot be eaten when it's rotten. They would take it in the morning and they would eat it. They would make whatsoever they want to make. And by evening, they're done eating. They would be fasting until morning. So when it came to the following morning, they could not take what was there the previous day. Because if they kept it, it would be rotten. There would be worms in it. It will have fermented. So that was the lesson for the children of Israel, that you cannot eat anything that is decomposing. So the bread that I'm giving you is fresh. Every morning it had to be cooked. Every morning it was picked, and every morning it was to be eaten. By the way, did you know that there's still manna somewhere? Where? In Angola. Only in Africa. Now this time it's not in Canaan. It's not in the wilderness, but it's in Angola. Actually, if you go on YouTube, you can see that. Okay, Hope Channel. They went there and they actually filmed it and they interviewed those people on an Adventist camp. It's on an Adventist camp. Manna, it's still there. Okay, so I think maybe you can do something and let manna drop in Texas. Okay? Now, look at this one here. So this bread, it was to be eaten for 6 days. Okay? Every day. When it came to Friday, okay, the 6th day, they had to take a double portion to show that the Lord has power over the decomposer. Only on Sabbath. So I'm telling you something about the Sabbath. The Sabbath is so powerful that before you get into the Sabbath, you must be as prepared as the Sabbath itself is. Most of us don't even take it serious that we need to prepare ourselves before the Sabbath. And we don't even take it to ourselves that when we get into the Sabbath, Sabbath means something. There's a meaning for the Sabbath. That was only taught as a lesson on bread. You didn't get that. A lesson on bread. Not on meat. Some of us still eat flesh even on the Sabbath. If you have to mess around and eat it, please eat it other days. Don't eat it on the Sabbath. If you still have to eat it, eat it other days. When it comes to Sabbath, go unleavened. Pure unleavened. No decomposer, no yeast, no nothing. And you see, sometimes we even serve leavened bread on the Sabbath. You think something has changed? What has changed since the children of Israel? Is it God who has changed, or we are the ones who changed? Question. I'm asking a question. Who has changed? Is it us or God? Yeah, I know. Responding on that is a little tricky. Now let's move. Let's move a little. I want us to move quick on this because I want to talk about decomposer. Okay? Now look at this one here, the Lord's intention. The Lord intends to bring His people back to live upon simple fruits, vegetables, and grains. He led the children of Israel into the wilderness where they could not get a flesh diet. He gave them the bread of heaven. Man did eat angels' food. This is from Medical Ministry. Okay? Medical Ministry, page 277. It was intentional that He gave them that. Okay? The covenant established. Now I want to pass that where God, the Lord, established a covenant. Okay? Let's move on into the next one. Call to the promised land. Okay? So depart to a land of which I swore to Abraham and Isaac, saying to your descendants, I will give it. Go up to a land flowing with milk and honey. Milk and honey. Where was this honey from? From the rock. Not from bees. Where was the water that He gave them from? From the rock. So where was milk from? Flowing. Where was this flowing milk from? Honey was from the rock. Water was from the rock. Where was this milk from? Please do a study on that. Because there's a verse on honey, there's a verse on water. Please find the verse for milk. Because most of us, we constantly say, oh, there was milk. And so I can drink milk. Find out. Oh, there was honey. So there were bees. Oh, there was water. So there was the river. So find out the sources for these things before you can actually. Now let's move on a little. So they departed from the mountain of the Lord, and on the journey of 3 days. Okay, 3 days journey. The abundance of the promised land. Okay, let's move on a little. I like this one here. The Lord's diet rejected. Now the mixed multitude who among them yielded to intense, the mixed multitude, people who are not among the children, who are not the children of Israel, they were a mixed multitude. So they yielded to intense craving, and so the children of Israel also fell a lasting, and they murmured. So the children of Israel murmured, but the mixed multitude did what? They complained. Okay? Look at this one here. This is Patriarchs and Prophets. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 379. It says, but since that time at Mount Sinai, they have received great light. Furthermore, they have covenanted to accept Jehovah as their king and to obey His authority. Their murmuring was now rebellion. Their murmuring was now what? Rebellion. Because they knew that the Lord did not want them to eat what they were calling for. But they still just called for it anyway. So the battle was not about the 10 Commandments. The battle was not about the gospel. The battle was not about anything else. But it was about the food that God had given. And that food, because the Lord had given them, and the Lord was insisting that they have to take theirs, and they were also coming up with their own, it became rebellion. And for such reason, they had to receive punishment. So their punishment, the punishment that God gave them was because they rebelled against the food that God had given them, the producer. They wanted consumer and a decomposer. Now, go to this one here. I skipped Leviticus 11. Leviticus, because Leviticus, now God said, okay, now I will give you these consumers. For the children of Israel, I will give you these consumers. You eat the clean ones only. So you shall not eat the clean ones, but you shall eat the clean ones. I skipped that because I want us to get to this one here. We have seen where God gave them exclusively plants for their benefit. And because they murmured and complained, the Lord gave them flesh to eat and gave them clean in Leviticus chapter 11. Now when you come to this one here, Deuteronomy, after that, constantly, these people constantly sinned against the Lord and demanded to eat even more. So this is what the Lord says in Deuteronomy 12 verses 15. Deuteronomy 12 verses 15. It says, notwithstanding. What is that? What's the meaning of notwithstanding? Notwithstanding. What is that? It's an English word. What? Nevertheless, even though, nevertheless, even though, meaning the Lord has already given you something and given you something and given you something, but you constantly violate and you constantly bother him. So he says, okay, notwithstanding, thou mayest kill and eat flesh. So he uses that word kill. Thou mayest kill. Go back to the original version, the commandment that God gave. Thou shalt not kill. But in the original one, when God gave flesh to eat, when God gave flesh to eat to everyone, it was not just the children of Israel. He gave it to all. And he gave it in his wrath, in his anger. He gave them to eat every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Everything that moveth shall be meat for you. This is the same thing he's now telling the children of Israel again. After the children of Israel rebelled and refused that they have to eat what the Lord had denied them. And here he says, thou mayest kill and eat flesh in all thy days, whatsoever thy soul lasteth. Whatsoever. So after today, if you will still be stubborn, that you want to eat flesh, you want to eat meat, anything whatsoever thy soul lasteth after, please take it and eat it in your house. Whatsoever, be it worms, be it a snake, be it another human being, be it a dog, a cattle, a cow, name it, whatsoever thy soul lasteth after, in the anger that the Lord has given it to you, take it and eat it. Because the Lord cannot stand it anymore. He said, these people, these are stubborn people, are rebellious people. I've been talking to you, I've given you, and you know the benefits of this thing, and you still demand that you want to eat it, and you still, because of your benefit, because of your own mouth, because of your taste, because of your appetite, because you're lasting after it, take and eat, and you die with it. And that's how he gave it to them. And he told them, this is to shorten your sinful life. And so if you still want to be a sinner, you want to live in sin, take it and eat it to shorten your sinful life. So he says there, thou mayest kill and eat. In all thy days, eat that flesh, whatsoever thy soul lasteth after, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God which he hath given thee. So if the Lord has blessed you, they are clean and the unclean. Whether it's clean or unclean, take it and eat it. Don't you go and say that I'm an Adventist, I don't eat unclean. Take it and eat it. Because the reason for eating flesh was not whether it's clean or unclean. The reason for eating flesh was to shorten your sinful life. So if you want to indulge in it, you have the message and you've already known it. It's in your books for 150 years. You still want to eat it? The Lord, at this time, the Lord will say, eat and eat. Don't you look and think the church is eating? No. And so you say, I can't eat that. Eat it. Did you know that as we speak, there's a lot of food that is coming from China that has a lot of terrible stuff? It's all out there. The information is out there. They kill even human beings that they put in there. It's in there. I don't know what you'll be eating that will not have everything in it. Whatsoever thy soul has lusted for, take it and eat it. And now look at the other one. Look at that one. Okay, in verse 20. Look at verse 20. When the Lord thy God shall enlarge thy border, meaning now you're rich, you have all that you need, you can afford it. Okay, the Lord has enlarged your border. Now you have a big account, a big check. You can go to the Walmart or to Kroger or to which other one. You can get in there and push that big one. You choose the big trolley and push the big one. You don't go out with the trainer. You know the trainer one? No, you don't take the trainer one. You take the master. And you push it around. And you can tell the kids, pick what you want. Pick what you want. Honey, can you pick what you want? What did you want? You know, sometimes they don't even have a checklist. Or sometimes they have a checklist and they run through and everything is done, and so they keep it and they pass around. You know, the store, they're so cunning. If they know there's some things that you don't put in your checklist, they put them either at the entrance or they put them when you're coming out to the thing like this. So that when you look at it, oh, what is this? You didn't need it. But simply because you've seen it there, let me try this. And once you try it the first day and you realize that it tastes good, next time when you come in is what you begin with. That's how they market. Okay? And so he says, your borders will have been enlarged so that you have all that you need. And thou shalt say, specific, the Lord is very specific with this one here. And thou shalt say, I will eat flesh. You are not supposed to be eating flesh. All you didn't eat flesh when you were as poor as when I was little. But now I'm coming to America. By the way, I'm from Kenya. When I'm coming to America, and when you come to America and you say, oh, the land of plenty, I have this, I can go to a Walmart, I can go to this, I can go to this, and I think chicken. When I first came to America, let me just say this. We were with my sister, I had a sister, and we came with my sister. And my sister, when she was growing up, I think she was offended by this fact that we only eat chicken legs when a visitor comes. She was always longing for chicken thighs. Because a chicken thigh was for the visitor. The visitor. Because it was only one chicken that would be eaten, the entire family and all the guests in the villages. Okay? The villagers who come, they will eat the same one chicken. So, and one chicken has only 2 thighs. So if there are 2 visitors, it means they will take the thighs. If it's one visitor and your dad, so the visitor will eat one thigh and your dad will eat the other thigh. No more thigh for you. If you're lucky, you'll get a leg. And if you're so many children, like we used to have 10 or so, 12 children. You know, the toes. Yeah, they will be breaking the toes as long as it had soup. Okay? Now you come to America, but my sister came to America. I remember we came and we landed in DC. Okay? And my sister, when this guy came to pick us, the first thing she said, I want to eat the thighs that I always watch on movies. Because she always saw these thighs that you go to the store and you can buy a whole tray of thighs, just thighs. And the Lord says here that He has enlarged your borders. That now you can afford, you can get it, you can buy a whole tray of these thighs. And you shall say, I want to eat flesh, because thy soul longeth to eat it, not because it's good for you, but because your soul longeth to eat it, longeth to eat the thigh. I saw when my sister ate the thighs for 3 months and she said, no more. no more, I can't. She began to loathe them. You know how yeah, she began to loathe them and say, I said, is this you? She said, yes, they don't taste like the ones at home. That was the first thing she said, they don't taste like the ones at home. The ones at home that run loose and they eat, you know, yeah, they taste different. These ones, they taste like plastic. I said, yeah, but you wanted them. I said, yeah, I think I've eaten enough. I'll go and eat back at home. Actually, she went back home. She's at home there. But look at this one here. They say, because thy soul longeth to eat flesh, thou mayest eat flesh whatsoever thy soul lasteth after. After today, if you want to eat flesh, please eat it. Eat it. But there's only one thing that you cannot do. The Lord has not permitted you to do this. Don't listen how you can eat it, whatsoever you want. Look at verse 21. It says, if the place which the Lord thy God has chosen to put his name be there too far from thee. Meaning, at church in McKinney, the Lord has already pointed it out and said, this is the place that you shall go and call my name. My name shall be called there. If it's too far from thee, then you shall take and eat whatsoever thy soul lasteth after. So in your house, if you can drive, I don't know how far. How far is your house from here? I don't know, at least I think we drove 25 miles. Which one is far? Which one is too far from the Lord? 1 hour is too far from the Lord. I think there are people who came more than an hour. Too far from McKinney. If it's too far from McKinney, then thou shalt kill and eat whatsoever thy soul lasteth after in your own house. But if you know you're very close to McKinney, where the name of the Lord is being called, you cannot eat it. Let me read again. If the place which the Lord thy God had chosen to put his name be too far from thee, they've come 1 hour plus from there to here, which is the next very near place that the name of the Lord is being called. So which church is there? The Avenge church. How far from your house? 3 miles. So you're very close to another place where the name of the Lord is being called. You have no right eating meat there. These ones can eat meat when they're too far from Avenge church. They can eat. But if they're closer to McKinney and the name of the Lord is being called here, they cannot eat. But now, what did we see in the morning? What was Paul talking about? I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of the Lord, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. Know ye not that your bodies are the temples of the living God? So if your body is a temple of the living God, and your body is a place that the Lord has chosen and given you the name Christian, the name of the Lord is being called, that the heathen would come and say, they are these people. They are these people. The name of the Lord is being called on you as a temple of the Lord. How far would your body be too far from you that you cannot eat flesh? And this is why in every institution of the Adventists, every Adventist institution, they do not serve flesh. In the Adventist institution, they do not serve flesh, because the place where the name of the Lord is being called cannot be serving flesh of any kind. But now the same people, when they go back into their houses, what do? You will find find everything in their houses, forgetting that they carry another house of the Lord with them. Forgetting that they have another house of the Lord with them. And they move around with it. Serving. That's why Paul says, remember that your body. Remember that your body. Now when you go to Daniel, what did Daniel say? Daniel said, I will not defile this one. He did not say, can I sing the Lord's song in a strange land? He didn't say that. Because the other people, the children, by the way, did you know that Ezekiel was a priest? And Ezekiel was a prophet among the children of Israel in Babylon outside the palace. They were just there, outside the palace. And Daniel was a prince who became a prophet among the heathen in Babylon inside the palace. The children of Israel were singing, saying, how can I sing the Lord's song? How can I call the name of the Lord in a strange land? They were waiting to go and call the name of the Lord where? In Jerusalem. But in here, Daniel was here, and Daniel said, I can sing the song of the Lord inside Babylon, inside the palace. Only I have to do is my body. I cannot define it. And my body will become a place where the name of the Lord is being called. And that is why the Lord used Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego mightily. That they could not even burn in fire. They could not even be consumed by the animals. When the animals saw them, they had the adrenaline and they rushed away. The animals could not even come to them, looked at them and flee. How are you going to make yourself a living sacrifice? So that you see that and you say, the place that the Lord's name is being called, we cannot kill and eat flesh. Look at that one here, 1 John chapter 2 verses 15. 1 John chapter 2 verses 15 and 17, it says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So we are talking about the love, we are talking about love, and we have to preach the love. We have to preach the love of God. And we say it's the love of God that we have to go to the world. We have to take it to the world. The love of God. And we're told there that love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So if you love the world, you don't have the love of the Father. If you have the love of the Father, you don't have the love of the world. But we are supposed to take the love of the Father to the world. And then it says here, for all that is in the world, what do they begin with? The lust of the flesh. So if you so lusted after flesh, the love of God is not in you. Look at that. Somebody might say that, oh, Jim is putting up. The lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. Is not of the Father, but of the world. Where the name of the Lord is being called, there cannot be lust. Top in the list, lust of the flesh. You cannot lust after this flesh. No matter how wealthy you are, no matter how much the Lord has blessed you, you cannot lust after the flesh. If you lust after the flesh, the love of the Father is not in you. And then it says there, look at that. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. No wonder the children of Israel passed in the wilderness. Not because of the 10 Commandments. It was not because of the 10 Commandments. It was not because they did not have the gospel. Paul talks about it in Hebrews chapter 3. It was not because of this gospel. The same gospel that was preached unto them is the same gospel that is preached unto us. But the Lord was not happy with the children of Israel in the wilderness. And He finished them in the wilderness. They were holy people. They were holy people, a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. But they did not enter Canaan. The Lord finished them. And here we're told, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But He he that doeth the will of God abideth for how many years? Forever. Not 120 years. Not 120 years. Not 120 years. You're looking for the 120 years? Not 120 years. He that doeth the will of the Father abideth more than 120 years. And these are the people the Lord is looking for the next 1,000 years. After 1,000 years, it will be again some other place. It has nothing to do with, is this the gospel? Is this salvation? No, we are not talking about that. We are talking about a people whom the Lord has chosen and have them for His name to be called. His name is in you. His name is in you. Look at that. This is child guidance. This is still our book. What about now the Bible? This is ours, directly for the children of Israel who are there today. Okay? It says, what about fresh food? We do not mark out any precise line to be followed in diet. Okay? Meaning, we cannot say eat this and eat that, and you can take this and don't take this, and people eat differently this and that. We don't have a formula for anything like that. Okay? But now look at what she says here. But we do say that in countries where there are fruits, grains, and nuts in abundance, flesh food is not the right food for God's people. It is not. You have in abundance. Every store you turn around this side, if they're grapes, you turn around this side, you have, what do you have? Nuts, which one? Walnuts, almonds, pecans. You have in abundance. In abundance. And it says there that flesh food is not the right food for God's people. And I've said in the past that flesh food was meant to be for the evil people who are living in sin continually. So if your parties are parties of evil, serve flesh as much as you can. But if your party is a party that is sanctified for God's people, you cannot serve flesh of any kind. Be the example, be the light that when the world comes there, they will say, oh, this was an Adventist party. The Hindus feel so proud when people go to their parties and people know that I'm going to an Indian party. The Indian parties, the Hindu party, there's nothing like flesh. True or false? You have Indians among you. I lived in India for 7.5 years. Every time I went to their parties, I knew that I was not going to get what I'm looking for. But they are so happy. But if you have the Muslims in India, okay, the Muslims in India, they eat flesh. There's some are also spread, like the Adventists are also spread here and there. But the true Adventists who have the Adventist books and read the Adventist, and they have the Adventist faith. Flesh food is not the right food for God's people. And it says here, I have been instructed that flesh food has the tendency to animalize nature. So what comes in it? Adrenaline. Are you seeing that? I have been instructed. Who has instructed her? God has instructed. Look at what the world is telling you. The world is telling you that the animal that you're eating has something called adrenaline. The Bible does not even mention it as adrenaline. The Bible only tells you that you become animalized. Meaning, it's this thing that tells you, fight. No, I don't like you. I'll defend. I'll beat you. It's adrenaline. That is the animal nature. I have been instructed that fresh food has a tendency to animalize nature, to rob men and women of the love and sympathy which they should feel for everyone. It robs from you. And we are glued into this flesh that we cannot just leave it. The more we are glued in it, the more we are glued into other lusts, and the more we cannot reason. Because it gives us less than 1%. Because if you eat it raw, then you get 1%. But if you eat it cooked, it gives you less than 1%. So even the reasoning with God becomes less than 1%. How can we be glued into this lust that we cannot even leave it? How can we be glued? Not that it's part of us. We are glued in it. It's not us. We are meant to have the love of God. We are meant to have the love of God. But there's this thing that has come in us that we cannot let go. We cannot just let it go. What is it that you cannot just let it go? And we are told to rob men and women of that love and sympathy which they should feel for everyone, and to give the lower passions control over the higher powers of being. What is that? The reasoning of evil. Lower powers. The lower powers are the reasoning of evil. And the feeling for the human feeling, the feelings. Huh? Know what I'm talking about? The human feelings, the feelings. Okay? That's the lower. Meaning anything that is reasoned from hypothalamus. If your hypothalamus is, that's what she's talking about there. And to give the lower passions control over higher powers of being. If meat eating was ever helpful, if I don't hear any amen saying, am I getting too pinchy? Let me go with this one here. Those who indulge in meat eating. Those who do what? Indulge. Now use the word indulge. There's lust, but now she says indulge. Indulge in meat eating and drinking and gluttony are sowing the seeds of a harvest of pain and death. I wish we went to the physiology of pain. And you're sowing. You're sowing. How are you sowing? The Lord saying, I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you every moving thing. But the first thing that you have to do is what? Kill it. You're sowing the seeds of pain and death. You're sowing the seeds of pain and death. Because you have to eat them. When they were in pain, they died. When they were in pain, they did what? They died. And those are the seeds you're sowing in you. Adventist. No. McKinney. No. McKinney. No. Which one should I say? McKinney is not your name. Who is McKinney? McKinney was somebody else. Was he an Adventist? No, I want a name I can address you. Should I say Adventist or should I? How should I call you? Remnants, okay. Remnants, Adventist. Okay? You're sowing some seeds that should not be in you. Some seeds that should not be in you. The unhealthful food placed in the stomach strengthens the appetites that war against the soul. Developing the lower propensities. A diet of fresh meat tends to develop animalism. Animalism, please get it for yourself and read this. Get it for yourself and read this for yourself. Okay? A development of animalism lessens spirituality, rendering the mind incapable of understanding truth. This is from your books. This is from your books. You give me more time, I'm going to explain what the world says about this. The reason why the world is looking for the Adventists had it before the world actually discovered it. That's why they say the Adventists. And the Adventists had it in a layman's language. Very simple language to understand. The world is now complicated and has gone deep to find what we're talking about. Rendering the mind incapable of understanding truth. When you're supposed to be giving the world truth, and now you don't have the truth, what are you going to give them? It means you're only going to talk about love when you don't have love itself. Because we are told, talk about love, only preach love. So love. But where is it? Do you have it? Do you have it in you? Because we're told we are supposed to be a living sacrifice. We are supposed to live by example, so that when the world looks at us, they can see the example of what we're living.
Yes.
Look at that. Tell me. Tell me which one you love most. Because you have both of them in your house. You have both of them in your house. And it's love that we're talking about. And remember that God, in order for God to exercise this pain and death for you, He gave you both of them. He said everything. Okay? And you happen to have these ones in your house. And you want to exercise love to one, and you want to exercise hatred to another one. For one of them, you will cause pain and death. The other one, you will even insure them. Look at this one here. God gave our first parents the food He designed that the race should eat. It was contrary to His plan to have the life of any creature taken. There was to be no death in Eden. There was to be no death in Eden. Why do we kill them aimlessly, anyhow? The Lord is setting an example with a particular people, a peculiar people. A people who are not going to be murderers anyhow. Simply because you want to kill it and you want to eat it. Because you have lust. You're indulging in flesh. And you want to kill it. You want to eat it. Let this not be your mind. Let your mind be filled with love. Look at this one. Isaiah chapter 11. Wait. Isaiah chapter 11. Read it from your book. Isaiah chapter 11. Okay? No. Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11 from verse 6. I was going back because it's, yeah. From verse 6. This is talking about the new heaven. The new heaven, Mount Zion, when the righteous shall appear and how they will be together. Look at how it will be. It says, a vision, this is a vision concerning what it will be when we get to heaven, okay? Not on earth. in heaven. It says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The wolf, you know the wolf. Wolf. Anybody has not seen a wolf? Yeah. The wolf and the lamb. The wolf and the lamb, those are two different things that don't see eye to eye. But what are we told when they get to heaven? Together. And then the next one. The leopard shall lie down with a young goat. A leopard and a goat. And they're together. What a perfect love. Look at that. A perfect love. And then the other one. The calf and a lion. A lion see a calf and say, oh, come and sit by my side. And then look at what we're told there. And are paddling together. And a little child shall lead. A little tiny child shall be leading them. All this. You always see in Adventist picture, the picture rolls. When it comes to heaven, what do you see? The New Jerusalem. Do you have the picture rolls? The Adventist picture rolls. You see all the animals and a beautiful city there with the rainbow. Yes. And you see a little tiny baby there carrying another. All these toddlers playing together. I mean, it's so beautiful. This is where they get that from. We Adventists, that's where we get this from. And we're told that the cow and the bear shall graze side by side. The lion shall eat straw. A lion eating straw. A lion eating straw like an ox. They shall not hurt. Look at that. They shall not hurt nor destroy. In all my holy mountain, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. Perfect love. And then he says, because the whole world, the earth would be full of the knowledge of Jehovah. That's how it finishes down there. The earth would be full of the knowledge of Jehovah. If your people will reach an extent where you're full of the knowledge of Jehovah, you shall not hurt nor destroy because of your lust. It's just because of lust that we destroy these things. It's because of lust that we choose which one tastes better. I like tasting this, I don't like tasting this. This one I can ensure so that it remains as my pet. But this one I can take to the kitchen and see what I do with it. You have to think of your mind. You have to set your mind in order. The whole earth will be full of the knowledge of Jehovah. Look at that, the lesson from modern Israel. The valid experience of the Hebrew was a school of preparation for their promised home in Canaan. So it was the Canaanites or the children of Israel. The children of Israel were a school of preparation. Okay? An example to us for the things coming. And then it says here, God would have his people in these days review with a humble and teachable spirit the trials through which ancient Israel passed, that they may be instructed in their preparation for the heavenly Canaan. Just like the children of Israel went through that, you should go through another one, so that you enter another one. They missed it because of something. Be careful. Be careful. You may have the 10 Commandments, you may have everything else, but if you're rebellious because of this particular one, and she says, be careful, humble yourself with a teachable spirit, that you do not go through the same experience that the children of Israel went. I had you calling yourself remnant. 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 Remnant of what? Remnant of the mess. If the children of Israel were a mess because of flesh and bread, please be careful what kind of remnant you're going to be. Remnant of rebellion or remnant of the holiness of the children of Israel. And if you're going to be a remnant of the holiness of the children of Israel, you have to know what the children of Israel went through. And if they obey Jehovah fully into Canaan. And we are told that the children of the Adventists today are going through the same experience. 150 years later, on your appetite. And the Lord is saying, my people, can't you listen? This message is for you. Health message is for you. Health message is for you. What's your view of health message? A caution for modern Israel. Look at that. A caution for modern Israel. There are those who ought to be awake to the danger of meat eating. You should be awake to the danger of meat eating. Okay? So if you're not awake, please, you should be awake so that you know the danger of meat eating. It says, who are still eating the flesh of animals, thus endangering their physical, mental, and spiritual health. So you cannot just talk about the spiritual health and forgetting these other ones and when you still eat meat. It endangers all the three. The physical, the mental, and the spiritual. It affects the spiritual as well. Because your reasoning is not going to be at par. Okay? Look at what it says here. Many who are now only have converted to the question of meeting will go from God's people to walk no more with them. You will think that these people are crazy. You do not want to walk with them because you... I don't want... Who is there? No. I don't want to go to that party. Who are in there today? No. They will go to walk no more with God's people because they will be guilty. They will remain guilty. Not because those people have no truth. It's because they will remain guilty. Because these messages are here and are so plain. You cannot challenge them. From the Bible and the spirit of prophecy and science, name it. ABC News, MSNBC, Fox News, name it. They talk about the dangers of meat eating. They all talk about it. The Bible talks about it. Spirit of prophecy talks about it. Experiences talk about them. So these people will just be guilty and they will not want to walk with God's people who are talking about this. Because this message has to be taught. At this time of the hour, it must be taught. It just has to be taught. There's no two way to it. You cannot stop it. Whichever place, they cannot stop it. You stop it, the world is going to sound it. The next thing you stop it, if you stop if you stop this today, the next person who will come in, you'll bring a doctor from somewhere. Okay? From the hospital downtown. And what will he talk about? The dangers of meat eating. I wonder if you will stop them if you are the one who invited them. You won't stop them. You can stop me, but you cannot stop them. You will stop me because I'm one of you. Okay? And I will be quoting from your books. But you can't stop them because they're talking from the world and they're talking with authority. CDC authority. They will be putting CDC, they will be putting World Health Organization, they will be putting, name them. Okay? Cancer Center, one and one. They'll be putting those things. Those are authorities of the world and they speak who can go against them. But when the Bible speaks, the Bible is superior to those. The Bible is superior to those because they will be putting dates to when Dr. So-and-so or Professor so-and-so quoted. They will be putting dates to that. The Bible does not put a date to whatever it's saying the ancient of ages spoke about it. Okay? Now, if you look at that, it says they will walk no more with God's people. So this is the time when God's people have to think alike, be of the same mind, walk together, eat together, so that when you walk into your brother's house, you know so well that the food that is going to be cooked there is good and healthy for you. Just eat it, even though you might be having your eyes closed somehow, but you can just eat it. Okay? Even if it just comes in a package, you just eat it because you know so-and-so will be cooking right. But if you go to a place and you suspect that maybe, you know, you're not sure. Anyway, let's move on. The final diet. This is diet number 5. Okay? We're talking about these diets, we're talking about food. This is food number 5. You saw in a food chain, they had food up to 5. Okay? Now the Bible also has them up to 5. Now look at the final one. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Final. He started with fruits, and he's ending with fruits. There will be no flesh eating in heaven. Period. However lustful you will be, you will not just find it. It is not there because there is no death in heaven. And the instruction is, if you want to eat it, you have to eat it there. There will be no death in heaven. And it will be too late for you if you cannot do it now. You'll be sealed with what you have. If you cannot do it now, you'll be sealed with what you have. If you're sealed with lust, how are you going to walk into heaven and you see a chicken and you say, I want that one? The chicken will turn around and say, not me. And you can't follow them. You can't follow them. You'll be out of place. The fish, I don't even think we will have, I don't know if we will have fish. The sea of glass, I don't know what we will. If the fish is there, now if the fish is there, you want to go for fish? Say bye-bye. You cannot eat them. You cannot dare eat them. So look at that, the final one. Now look at what Jesus says to his disciples just before he left. Jesus once again. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it anew with you in my Father's kingdom. So Christ is going to eat again with us in heaven. But there will be no chicken on the table. It will be from vine. It will be fruit. A fruit table. Every day. So the thing is, you better start now. Don't create adrenaline.